Joe Rogan is floored by mind-reading kids. Kai Dickens films autistic teens defying science. And I, as a QHHT practitioner, have witnessed a mom and son communicating telepathically. Are you ready to have your mind blown? Let's get into it.
Wait a second. Have I been wrong about everything? And that's kind of where I ended up, was like I had to go revisit everything I ever thought about the world because I started realizing our entire paradigm is wrong. I mean, or a lot of it is.
Kai Dickens appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience, which aired February 26, 2025, to discuss her podcast, The Telepathy Tapes. She's a filmmaker and documentarian, and she created a series to explore claims of telepathic abilities, particularly among non-speaking autistic individuals. Now, as a QHHT practitioner, I have to tell you, this series fascinated me. Although Joe Rogan was completely mind-blown by it, I've actually seen this in my own practice. And because of that, I knew I had to make this video, so we're going to touch on the top 5 most mind-blowing experiences that will leave you stunned. Before we get started on the first 5, take note that the links for both Joe Rogan's podcast and the telepathy tapes will be left in the description box below. Now, Kai Dickens, she hit Joe Rogan with the total mind bender. Non-speaking autistic kids, like the one named Akil, are guessing numbers and words their parents are just thinking about with insane accuracy, like 95% or in some cases up to 100% in controlled tests. She describes how they set it up. The kids were in a separate room, no way to see or hear anything, and still they'd get it right every time. The reaction Joe had was pure shock, and he couldn't wrap his head around it, even saying something like, if this holds up, it's a game changer. Which is true. Then Kai took it further, talking about this article from The Hill that dives into similar mind-blowing cases, stories that make you question everything you thought you knew about the human mind. Now, does this personally surprise me? Absolutely not. What did surprise me is that somebody else besides me had that experience where a parent was telepathically communicating with a child. So let's continue on. Kai had Joe's attention, for sure, but then she hit him with something straight out of a sci-fi movie. She told Joe about this place where non-speaking autistic kids kept bringing up, a kind of a psychic hangout spot they called The Hill. Apparently, these kids who don't communicate verbally described meeting there like a mind-to-mind, no words needed, shared mental space. And Kai called it a collective consciousness thing. And yet, when she laid it out, you could tell Joe was really hooked. He started riffing about how it sounded like something that the government would want to scoop up, like the X-Men or the X-Files, and wondering what would they do with that if they knew these kids had this type of power. Well, that's a very good question. And that actually brings me to my own client. When my mom had told me her experience, and we'll get into this at the end of it, and I'll share with you the full thing of that, but it's important to note that this mom, once she found out her son had the gift, she absolutely did not want to share that with the world because she did not want her child to become a subject of testing, constantly testing. And she wanted to give her child as much of a normal upbringing as she potentially could under their extreme circumstances, if you will. One, the child was 8 years old and communicating in sentences that were well beyond her. So She was definitely new to it. So when these parents are a little bit waffly, telling anyone that their child has this ability, remember that if it were your child, you might want to protect them too, especially when you don't really know what you got. So let's move on to the next point. Kai dropped another wild twist that had Joe reeling. She started talking about kids like Kyle, who could spell out exact details from their parents' dreams. Stuff like red balloon without anyone saying a word to them beforehand. It's like these non-speaking kids were tuning into their parents' minds while they slept. Kai framed it as a telepathy jumping across sleep states, a straight-up mental connection. Of course, Joe couldn't get over it, and he tied it to some bigger ideas about consciousness, calling it freaky as hell. I suppose that's true if you have no understanding of it. But as a QHHT practitioner, it's the same thing as if you yourself go into a theta state under a guided meditation. You truly actually have access to all information, what I call the cosmic internet. And that is the same thing. But what it does do is takes from our imaginations, if you will, and places it square in the middle of scientific research. And that is the beautiful thing about this documentary that she made, and something that I hope you'll watch. So just when Joe was beginning to wrap his mind around the next question he could potentially ask, Kai hit him with this one. And it sounded a bit like it was ripped out of an ancient mystery novel. She described one non-speaking kid who, using a letterboard, started reading Egyptian hieroglyphs, like full-on fluent without ever being taught or exposed to them. Kai pointed to it as a total wrecking ball to the idea that everything is just physical, material stuff. Joe jumped in, his mind racing, and he threw out this idea. Well, quote, maybe they're tapped into something ancient, end quote. Like these kids are plugged into the old hidden knowledge we can't even touch. It was once those moments where you could feel the whole conversation stretching way beyond what anyone could expect. Again, it is just like those of us QHHT practitioners who worked with so many people. And occasionally in that many people, you'll find souls that can just go down super easily. And you can ask them anything and they will give you an answer. And truly, it's just like if you were to have a conversation with Edgar Cayce while he's in a trance. So it really does beg the question, are these children, are they highlighting something that is natural within all of us? Or is there just something truly exceptional only to them? I think as a QHHT practitioner, I would argue they're just highlighting something that we're all endowed with, but they just have an easier means of getting to it. Now, how or what that means is, well, that's a bit of a mystery. Let's take a look at what's next. As a QHHT practitioner, I've had a lot of clients that reached stages that could do phenomenal things, including healing their own bodies and affect healing on other people. So when we look at cases that Joe Rogan brought up with Kai Dickens, we look at Edgar Cayce and Dolores Cannon and all of that, this is all leading us to the knowledge that we are much bigger than just what is contained here in our meat suit. And when I talk about on my website, Ignite the Superhuman in You, I'm dead serious. Because when I share things like, go out there and start dissolving clouds. So side squirrel note, go to my website, sallyknopp.com. And on the front page of that is where I dissolve a cloud. And I'm not doing it to impress you. I'm doing it to inspire you to go out and dissolve clouds. And the reason for that is to make a mental connection to who you truly are, that you are an incredibly powerful being. And this video, which is why I was so excited to share it with you on the telepathy tapes and Joe Rogan getting on board and talking with Kai Dickens about it, is to inspire you to know that you can do way more than what you thought you ever had the ability to do. Now, a case in point, many years ago, I had a mom that had twins, and one of the twins was nonverbal. And as he was getting older, he was becoming more and more and more frustrated. At the time when I met her, her child was 9 years old. And he was becoming almost impossible just to do the basic needs because he was so frustrated. And so in her frustration, she came to see if she could do a soul-to-soul communication. And because there was that emotional connection that they talk about at the end of the podcast, that connection was made easily. And the surprising thing was, this child of hers said, hand me the iPad. And by the way, I need these certain foods in my diet. And so, and I think the thing that was most beautiful in what I witnessed of that event, of that mom communicating telepathically with her child, was that he said, stop treating me as if I'm broken. I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. I gotta tell you, that still gets me a little choked up when I think about it. I get a little, because it is so powerful. And it really highlights who we all are. That we're not just some victims in meat suits. That we are powerful individual beings with unique things to give each other. So fill in the blank there. I can get real squirrel on this because it was a real emotional moment. And I've had several since then, but that one hits my peak because it was a child involved. And it was very transformative. She goes home and she hands her child the iPad. She didn't know that the child could even read or even know the alphabets because of the degree she perceived his handicap. And I would like to say that in quotation marks because in their point of view, they're not seeing themselves as handicapped. And if they're not seeing themselves as handicapped, why should we? In fact, maybe we should view them as our teachers because we are learning so much just in the studies that Kai talks about, several doctors and university studies. People like Greg Braden and Dr. Bruce Lipton and just so many people are bringing great deal of information and we are able to share it. So this child declared himself not broken. He declared himself, I'm not here for me, I'm here for you. Hand me the iPad. And she did. And he began communicating in full sentences. And not just sentences. These are sentences as if you're talking with somebody with a PhD. And here he is, this little boy. And I said to her, you need to write a book. There are a lot of people out there who have children like yours that may be in a similar situation and it would touch them. And she said no. And I was perplexed by that until a little bit later I understood. At that time, when we learned all this, her child would have been poked, prodded, subjected to all kinds of stuff that she felt in her heart was not right. And you know what? I respect that, because in her mind, she was protecting her child from scientific experiments that might have been traumatizing. Now, she may change her mind as an adult, as the child, I think the child probably is an adult by now. And she may change her mind, and then as this information comes out, may become more comfortable. But the point being is there's so much to learn from these beautiful souls. And if you are somebody out there, or you know somebody out there who struggles with a nonverbal person in their life, maybe share the telepathy tapes with them and this Joe Rogan podcast, because it is life-changing for a lot of people. And the beautiful thing of it is, working in consciousness, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I do energy healing with people all over the world. I don't have to be in the same world with them. I work with people on the other side of this globe, and we do great energy healing. And for those people out there who want to become energy healers, I would just ask you to maybe jump on mdhmap.com. It will walk you through how to become an energy healer, and it's a full map on where to go next. And that's all explained on the website. You can check it out. And if you are an energy healer, maybe check it out, because it's a great companion tool for those of you who are seasoned healers. But the point is, especially if you're a healer, you can affect healing for those wanting healing from you, no matter where they are in the world. And it all ties together. Like I said, these souls that they are highlighting in this documentary and on the podcast, they're the ones who can really showcase the true miracle of consciousness. While, me working in energy healing and all that wouldn't have near the impact that somebody nonverbal, a child, would have when they go through and start explaining things on levels beyond our own understanding. I think it's beautiful. It's worth a watch, and I encourage you to investigate all of it. And remember, you are superhuman too. So go out there, start grabbing the world by its backside, and begin to create your world for you. All right, more videos on Woo coming up soon. Take care.